Hey everybody, welcome to Goshen Prepping. Thanks for joining us. I want you to understand and really get this in your head that prepping is not just stockpiling. Stockpiling food, water, ammo, you name it. Obviously, there's lots of things we could stockpile. No, it's a lifestyle. True preppers have a lifestyle. It's a mindset. It is shifting the way, it's a paradigm shift, what it is, shifting away from the luxuries of the world into doing something that's going to sustain you and your family. And even if crap does hit the fan and post crap hits the fan, we have to be in a situation in which we cannot simply just survive, but thrive. I mean, I'll give you a quick example. Stockpiling Cheetos and cheese puffs. You may actually enjoy having like Cheeto fingers during the apocalypse, but you're going to be feeling awful, horrible, miserable, makes you more susceptible. Obviously, it's not what you want. No, preppers, real preppers, by the way, this mindset and lifestyle change, they literally go through drills and training and scenarios. And on top of that, to be as absolute healthy as they can be. Don't turn it off. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you talk about being healthy. And it's something we should be striving for. So last weekend, I mentioned I was in Krav Maga training in Jacksonville, Florida, and they had a whiteboard up. And the whiteboard is very interesting. It has a whole bunch, there's no title for it. I call it the rules of life. Things that I've been figuring out, things that a lot of you have probably been figuring out as well, just trying to make this life work better. Because obviously, if we get into commercialism and politics and all that stuff, they do not have our best interest in mind. They want to sell you the worst garbage known to mankind that may be tasty, but it's going to make you unhealthy. And that's just like one part of it. We're not talking about just food, by the way. But this Rules for Life whiteboard, it was incredible for the fact that I've even put some videos out talking about a lot of these subjects. And there it was. It was almost like the perfect board telling you everything that you should know when it comes to thriving and survivability. So I'm going to go through this list. And I just ask you to simply do it with an open ear. And don't simply say, oh, I can never get down that way. A lot of us may never get there at all, because understand that trying to get in shape is not a destination, it's a journey. There are some people who are incredibly in good shape, but there's more to life than simply just being in shape too. And often they'll suffer in other areas. Nobody's perfect. So I want you to work on these areas. Think about these things and make things your goals. So I decided to go ahead and compile it into a video for you. And it's something that I'm going to be putting up on my fridge to try to make my life better so I can thrive and not merely survive. Number one, the best workout plan is consistency. And whatever that workout is for you, that's what's important. It's consistency. I get this a lot, by the way. People will send me emails and say, I love what you're talking about, but you tell me I should work out. I'm 70 years old and I'm in a wheelchair. And there's always excuses. I don't care what your excuse is, by the way. I mean, if you happen to be quadriplegic, maybe. Paraplegic, probably not even as much as that. But that shouldn't stop you. Working out and being healthier as far as physically fit, it should be a goal for everybody. And even in martial arts, there's a lot of people I know who are in their 70s. I'm not saying you can actually do martial arts. I'm not saying that. But there's a lot of exercises. There's swimming, literally walking through a pool, wading in a pool. For those people who are elderly, walking is a great thing. And obviously, for those who can handle it, do more advanced workouts. Like I would say running. I love to run, but it's not the best on your knees. But doing things that's actually more cardiovascular, getting your heart up, your heart rate up and such, and getting your breathing going is important. But whatever that is for you, you should challenge yourself. When I'm on the mat and I'm instructing martial arts, the students who struggle with the sit-ups, I stress more on them. Guys, you really need to do these sit-ups. They're like, I can't. I'm like, that's why I'm stressing on you, because the more you do the sit-ups, the more sit-ups you can do. It's all about advancing and getting better, whatever you're at, whatever level you're at. It's one step at a time. But you need to have a workout plan. Because when we talk about crap hitting the fan, if you literally just sit there all the time doing nothing, you are the most vulnerable person. And how are you supposed to survive any type of crap hitting the fan if that's the case? And with that, number two, the best pre-workout, salt, water, and electrolytes. Salt water and electrolytes are so important. Obviously, electrolytes is salt water. And you can make your own salt water using just regular salt, or maybe like some Himalayan salt. Just put a pinch in your water when you drink it, and that actually will do very well for you. However, I like my tasty salt, and I buy Key Nutrients electrolytes. This is not like a sponsor for the channel or anything, but I discovered these because they're keto. They don't have any really nasty ingredients in them, but it does have some flavoring, which actually makes it a little bit easier. And for me, even on keto, it's actually a really nice flavored drink. And there's tons of these. This is orange. This is my son's favorite. But we always have these. I'll put a link below if you want to pick some of these up. But you don't even have to have like a store-bought electrolyte. Again, just putting a pinch of salt into water will work. Whenever I talk about electrolytes, people say, oh, I have a great recipe for electrolytes, and they put in all this sugar and everything into it. I'm like, for me, I would never drink that because having the sugar in there, sugar is a really bad thing. So having water and salt, that's all you need. A little bit of flavoring in there can actually help too. But either way, if you want to retain your water, if you want to make it so you can actually work out and after you've been sweating and stuff, your water stays in your system without your blood pressure dropping, electrolytes is what we need. We have to have this. And this is, by the way, salts are, by the way, why we crave salt, because it helps us retain that water. Number 3, the best fat burner, drop all junk food. This is so huge. And junk food does not simply mean just things like candies and cupcakes and all those sugary things that are filled in the grocery store. It doesn't. There's far more things than that. I mean, for me in my life, I even consider like potatoes to be junk food. It's the most delicious junk food to mankind. I love potatoes. I love them. But for the fact that even though they're complex carbohydrates, they're still carbohydrates, and having those high level of carbs are not good for you. But I'm going to tell you, this is not a channel where I'm preaching to you saying you can have to go to all sugar. That's what I do. But I do challenge you to drop all that junk food, that what you would consider to be junk food. And if anything, read the label. Because you'd be amazing that even if you actually eat something like beef jerky, oh wow, it's steak. It's all steak, nice and dried up for you. And look at the ingredients. It's full of sugar. These companies pack stuff full of sugar, and that is all junk food. So what I'm saying to you is there's a lot of beef jerky out there, which should be good for you, is actually junk food too. You need to just drop it. That is your best fat burner. And why is that? Because junk food, which is carbs like potatoes and candy and everything else, increases your blood sugar, which makes fat. It makes fat for you. That's why you're fat if you're fat. It's from carbs. It's all from carbs, not from fat. And so if you stop eating carbs, every time you get in a situation where you need to burn some extra calories, guess what it does? Your body burns that fat, and it's a fat burner. If you continuously eat junk food, anything that's carbohydrate based, you're never going to burn the fat. In fact, you're going to make some. So therefore, the best fat burner is stop eating junk food. These are certainly words of wisdom on that whiteboard. This is great. Number 4, the best antidepressant, exercise. Now, my disclaimer as always, I am no longer a practicing physician, so I cannot give you medical advice, but I will tell you when I was practicing, if I had somebody who actually was depressed, instead of putting them antidepressants, I was the kind of guy who'd be like, you know what? Let's see if we can actually try to cure this depression you have with something else instead of antidepressants. And what would I do? I would actually say a few things. Is number 1, get up in the morning, stop sleeping in. Number 2, have a positive outlook on life. I know it sounds weird and corny, but it's true. And 3rd, get exercise. I used to tell this to my patients because the exercise releases epinephrine. It releases eventually endorphins. It literally changes your biochemistry to make your brain brighter, think better, straighter, and gets rid of depression. And so it's amazing how modern medicine today is like, oh, you're depressed, here's some pills. Keep doing what you're doing, sit in your house doing nothing, but take some antidepressants and you're good to go. And you're not good to go because antidepressants, out of anything, they actually have a short life for the fact that right now you take 10 milligrams or whatever, give it a few years, you're going to have to double it in 20 milligrams because your body becomes accustomed to it. So depression's obviously, antidepressants are one of the biggest prescribed medications we have. And I'm not saying for all people. And I'll say it again, it's not even a disclaimer. You need to work this out with your doctor because you have to be very careful changing your antidepressant medication. Speak with your physician about that. But what I always told my patients back when I was practicing was exercise. Doesn't even have to be like, everyone always pictures exercise as like, I'm going to die lifting weights. No, I'm going to go run a marathon. No, it's simply just doing what exercise works well for you. But you got to do something, and you'll find that your day becomes brighter and cheerier because of that. And a lot of times, in most cases, the depression will disappear. Number 5, the best protein supplement, steak. I can't stress how important this is. Steak is really the perfect food. Well, steak and eggs, by the way. And if I were rich and had some butler named Jeeves who would be happy to make whatever I want, I would have steak and eggs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Steak has the highest quality protein that a person can consume. And in my opinion, it's absolutely delicious. I love steak. I'm a steak kind of person. So steak is an amazing thing. Now, do I have protein powders? Indeed, I do. In fact, after I work out, I often will take some kind of weight isolate protein powder. But steak, man, if I could actually have a steak in those situations, it would be much better. And if you can try to incorporate steak more into your diet, it is the best protein you can have. And again, proteins are the key to life. Get rid of your sugars. Get rid of all sugars, every single ounce of sugar, and eat nothing but proteins and fats. And steak that's where it's at. And if you can do that, you'll be much healthier. Number 6, the best multivitamin, real food. And I can't stress that enough. And I'm not even simply saying get rid of processed food, which you should do, but real food, whole food, things you can garden in your own garden is what I perceive as being real food, by the way. And if you have a cow and that cow eats nothing but your grass outside, that's real food. But unfortunately, our food industry in the United States is atrocious. Even the farming, you know what I'm saying? People are like, oh, I'm going to go to the grocery store. I don't care if it's Walmart or Whole Foods, or sometimes, often even your farmer's market. These farms have been around for generations and generations. And at a lot of points, the soil had a lot of the vitamins and nutrients and minerals, trace elements and stuff you needed to survive and thrive have been depleted a long time ago. And they would often be replaced with rains and things like that. But even that's actually dwindling. So a lot of times your produce simply doesn't have the vitamins it's supposed to have in there. That's sad. If you have a garden at home, you stand a much better chance because your soil is probably a lot more raw and has not been producing certain vegetables for the last 100 years in some cases, right? So real foods and whole foods are really what you want to go with. I couldn't stress that enough. But on top of that, I don't subscribe to that's the only thing you should get as far as when it comes to your vitamins and minerals and such. You have to have vitamins, by the way. These minerals and trace elements and everything are 100% required to carry out metabolic processes in your body. And if you don't have those, I mean, you'll have them for a little bit and you'll often pee them out. It's a natural process. And if you don't replenish them, then you'll be sluggish, feel kind of tired, not up for energy, and you can't carry out a lot of the processes, and it leads to disease. So I do not simply leave it personally up to just my whole food and real food, but I take supplements for that. The supplements I take, first off, I take a multivitamin Men's One Daily from Amazon Elements. It's not the only thing I take, by the way. I would not recommend this being the only thing where it came from, but this actually comes from whole food, which is pretty interesting. It's a good pill to take. It's not heat pressed. In other words, when you put it in your stomach, it's going to fall apart easier. And they're relatively speaking inexpensive. I take one of these every day. But that's not the only thing I take. I also take some NutriBio Multisport. This is the men's formula specifically. They have a women's one. They also have more thermolytic working out ones that actually increase your metabolism, helps burn fat, give you more energy while you're working out. They have all kinds of stuff, by the way. Again, I'll link both of these below. But the NutriBio one, I'm not kidding you. It says to take 4 a day. I would take 1 or 2 a day. And before I take it, it's almost like I need coffee. I take the pills or all the rest of my pills too. And sometimes I have a little caffeine with it. Not always though, because I'm just drink water and give about 15 minutes. And I can feel myself going, oh, feel amazing. Because literally it's starting to replace all those trace elements, minerals and stuff that my body has depleted. So you need to find some kind of multivitamin. And I'm not talking about like Centrum or one a day or those other little heat pressed vitamins, because you'll take that pill. And since it's been pressed and baked into that pill, you'll often find pieces of it in your feces because, hopefully you won't be fishing around for that, because it simply, your body can't digest it. You need to have something that your body can digest so it literally has the vitamins going into your bloodstream instead of it having just coming out the other end. So again, I'll link these, but you need to have some kind of multivitamins, in my opinion, on top of having the real and whole foods. Number 7, the best longevity hack, lifting weights. Lifting weights does not mean you're trying to become ripped. It means you're becoming toned and having a lot of your muscles work. And there's a lot of conflict in this study or this research, but it says something like 1 pound of muscle burns an extra 50 calories. So literally just by having extra muscle, you'll burn more calories and consume more energy, and you'll lose weight just by having muscle. So could you get by with never actually going for a jog? Oh yeah, you can. We call these gym muscles because they go in, they work out, and they're super buff and ripped. But there's and not saying all people are like this, but there's no cardiovascular there. If you don't get the cardiovascular going, that's equally not as healthy. I think having days of cardiovascular and days of lifting weight is absolutely advantageous. We need to have both. In martial arts, by the way, I'm all into building muscle, but it's not about being super thick muscular. It's about being fast. And there's certain muscles you can actually try to build up to become a faster martial artist, to be able to kick or punch or whatever faster than the average person. So I'm all for building muscle mass. It helps you burn calories. But one of the things that's really shown is you don't always have to simply just work out cardiovascular, go for runs and all these things to stay healthy. There's actually a lot to be said for building muscle. Building completely ripped and being muscle bound, maybe not as healthy if you're not doing cardiovascular along with it. But it's actually important you do have muscles, and having muscles overall, again, You don't have to have tons. If you're older, you can do like the little 5-pound ones. Just do a few reps a day just to keep up with it. Or, do something for your upper body, something with your legs, and some sit-ups with some weights if you can. Try to keep your body going with this, because muscle mass is one of those hidden things that people who do work out with muscles realize the benefits, but people who don't just think it's people being like lunkheads with muscles who are being silly. No, it is a vital thing in life to being healthy, along with the cardiovascular. Best recovery, sleep. Oh, who has time for sleep, right? Yeah, if you can try to get some rested sleep, 6 to 8 hours. The old adage, by the way, which has been going on for 70, 80 years, you need 8 hours of sleep, is not true. I think it's saying 6 to 8 now for most people. All I know is back when I was in my 20s in the military, I would sleep for 4 hours a night, and that was it. And then occasionally catch a nap, which because of this today, I can fall asleep anywhere very quickly. I know a lot of military out there can do the same thing. But having your sleep to be able to rest and regain function is important. I'm not saying there aren't times you may have to stay up really late or even pull all-nighter, which I used to do. I don't do that anymore. But as you get older, you start to realize that sleep really is one of those recovery things that your body needs. It's not simply just a mind thing, by the way. You need to recover your mind with sleep, but recover your body. You need to have that rest. You need to have that downtime. Let your muscles heal. Let your body relax. Let your bodies get back into these modes in which it's going to help you thrive. Again, there's that thriving again. So it's not just survival. If you are prepping just for survival, you're doing it absolutely wrong. You need to prep for survival. There are some basic things you need, but you need to prep for thriving. If you can't thrive and actually carry on a healthier, better life in the long run, what's the point? I'd rather personally die than just simply surviving, laying on the couch the rest of my days. That's horrible. I want to thrive. I want to carry on my life better than it is now, if that's even possible. So I was really surprised to see these hacks on that whiteboard. All these things that you can do to try to live a better life. Maybe there's some things that you see too that maybe you want to add to this list. What are some rules for life that you add when it comes to true preppers? True preppers don't just stockpile, but instead do all these things to try to thrive and have a much healthier and happier life. Put it in the comments below. I'd really like to see it. And again, there's links for all these things too if you want to check some of that stuff out. Thanks for watching.